Hello folks and welcome back to the channel. This is video 6 of my ongoing series, My History in Board Games, where I take a look at all of the first plays of the games I've played over the years in the chronological order that I've recorded them on my BGStats app. As always, this is a video with 5 games to talk about. We'll look at why I got them, how much I've enjoyed them, and whether they're still in the collection or not. So without further ado, let's get on with the next game. So the first game on the list today, I think, is my first solo game in this series of games, and it's One Deck Dungeon, which was published in 2016. So yeah, we're 26 games into the series now, and this is the first solo game I recorded the stats for at the very least. But I don't think I really played much or any solo before now. But it's a dungeon delve game where you are working through cards that you're slowly revealing, and they can be monsters or traps. And you roll a whole bunch of dice, and then you assign those dice to different sections of the card you're trying to battle. It will tell you that certain coloured dice and certain values of dice are needed to sort of defeat it without taking damage or losing time. Time is a big thing in this game as well. This is early April 2020 that I first played this. So that is pandemic, that is lockdown, and that is when I started getting into solo gaming. When I wasn't able to meet up with my friends and get anything else to the table. Back then I really enjoyed it. I played quite a lot of it. I'm not brilliant at it by any way. It's a very difficult game, but I'm not brilliant at it, and I didn't really get up to challenge the high monsters. I like the kind of campaign thing it has going on, where it's you can get rewarded whether you win or lose. You get a few rewards, and you can tick off the sheet, and it'll just make you stronger for the next go. I don't think I would have kept playing it if it wasn't for that, because, like I say, it's a very tough game. I've not played it in a few years now, because you can see above me I've got all the Final Girl games, and I prefer those now for my solo gaming. I've also got the sequel, One Deck Dungeon. I think it's Forest of Shadows, which I've not got around to playing yet. But if I want a small card game to do a bit of dungeon delving, I prefer Mini Rogue. I think is a little bit better, because it's not as tough. It's still a hard game, but it's not as punishing. But One Deck Dungeon is a game that you either get very lucky with the dice rolls and the cards early on to power yourself up, and then you become strong enough that you can deal with problems. But if you have you can have a bad turn or two at the beginning and just get wiped out in a very short game. Yeah, it's great. It did its job to get me into solo gaming, but I just don't play it anymore. But it's worth a go if you do like doing solo gaming and you haven't tried it yet. So like a lot of board gamers during the pandemic and the lockdowns that we endured, I didn't get many or any new games to the table for a few months. I built up the collection. I was buying games online, but I had no one really to play with. And it wasn't until June of 2020 that I was able to finally meet up with my now wife in person. And we went through a lot of two-player games. But there was something she had. She had a small collection of games, and there was one game she had that it was an old game. It was Mag Blast. She had the second edition, which I think is 2002. It was published by Fantasy Light Games. And she was very keen to teach me this game that she'd played a lot in the previous years with her family. I am terrible at Mag Blast. She is astonishing at Mag Blast. It is quite a fun game. So you have everyone has like a capital ship, and then you have different cards in your hands that you can place other ships, and you have a fleet around your ship, and then other players are trying to take out these surrounding ships to be able to get hits on your capital ship. And it's basically last man standing who has the who has the capital ship still going. But there's other cards in there that can do things like you can take over dreadnoughts, you can get really big hits in. There's different levels of weapons that you can fire off. She kicked my ass at this game over and over again, but it's quite good. I think I didn't enjoy it 2-player because you're just being picked on by one person, and if you're not very good at it, there's not much you can really do. But we eventually, when we were starting meeting up with families, we played some 4-player games, and that I really enjoyed, because you're sort of targeting different people for different reasons, and you're not always taking all the hits. It's kind of shared amongst the players a little more fairly. What I really loved about it, although I hadn't played Twilight Imperium yet, I already owned it, and I was like, I'd seen all the races and that. And this second edition only, I think, all the races that you pick as your characters to play as are all the races from TI, but in Mag Blast. I since managed to track down the 3rd edition, which is more Steve Jackson's Munchkin art. They've completely changed it, and we've not played that copy at all, but I just brought it because it's impossible to get hold of, and I found it for like £1 in a charity shop. But yeah, Mag Blast it's an old school game, space battler, but just with a deck of cards. And yeah, if you can get a decent group together, it's very take that, and it can be a lot of fun. And for the rest of today's video, it is 2-player only games. It was just in lockdown, it was just me and my wife playing games, and we collected up quite a nice array of 2-player only games. The first one that we got around to learning together was Hanamikoji, published in 2013. This is a fantastic little card game where you are trying to gain the favour of a number of geishas, and so they sit in the middle. It's almost like a row battler. But you have a small hand of cards, and then each turn you draw a new card. But you've only got 4 specific actions you can take. There are only certain ways you can manipulate the cards in your hand, and a couple of those mean giving cards to your opponent as well. And it's I cut, you choose, which is a really fun mechanic. If you've never tried it before, I highly recommend giving this game a go as an intro into that mechanic. But you will look at your cards. For example, one of the actions is 2 and 2. So you will lay down 4 cards in 2 pairs and present them to your opponent, and then they get to pick which cards they want. There's another one where it's 2 and 1. And what's really fun about that is it's all about mind games. A little bit like Tussy Mussy, where you're showing your opponent all the information and you're hoping that they read it one way and not the way that you're hoping to benefit from it. You know, you're kind of hoping that they get greedy and take the cards that they think they're going to do well at gaining favor. So the geishas across the middle, they all have different values of cards that they need to obtain their favor. There's a couple of 2s, 2 3s, a 4 and a 5. So you have to have the majority in that. And this can also come into the decision making and the bluffing, because you can be presenting cards and that's adding to the information that's already available to both players. So you're kind of trying to sway them one way maybe. And then there's a couple of other cards that remove things from the game as well. So you're also hiding information from your opponent because they don't know what card you've hidden to one side face down. One of these you get to do, and you get to bring it in at the end of the round. So that's always nice as a final, like, you know, you thought you had that one, but I had the other, the one to swing the majority there. But it also plays round after round. So the win condition is, I think it's 11 points based on the number of cards required to take each geisha. So the 5 geisha is worth 5 points to your controller. So it's either the first to 11, or I think 4 of the majority 4 of the 7 geishas you control. But it's played round after round until someone has that win condition. But everything stays as it was. So if you have control of a geisha on the first round and the game hasn't ended, the other opponent, you can tie for majority on that one next time round, and you'll keep it still. So then it gets very tactical about, you don't have to put as much effort in fighting for that one because you only have to tie. It's for such a small little box, a small little deck of cards. It's got so much crunch to it. We don't play it often enough anymore, but when it does come out, it's still very, very thinky. I really enjoy it. If you haven't a chance, as I always say, if you haven't a chance, give it a go. Hanamikoji. So we go from a small box card game to a 2-player only game with much bigger production, and that's Fog of Love, published in 2017. This is a very unique and interesting game. Yeah, I don't think you can even call it a game, actually. It's an experience. But you play 2 people play as 2 people in a relationship just starting out. And it works really well if you really role play this, like, because you build your character and things like how you met and what you do for a living. And it all impacts on the game itself. And you have a bunch of aspects of the relationship. I can't remember the names of them all. It's been a long time since I played this. And you have like a win condition where you need the relationship to work out in a certain way or not work out in a certain way. And then you're trying to, when you reveals like a story card, I think it is, and you have to sort of go one way or another on a decision. Is sometimes what you want to do for your win condition can conflict with your partner, and it can cause some, like, not real arguments but in-game arguments, because, like, you know, why have you decided we need to do that? Why are we not going to visit my parents anymore? Things like that. It's a great little story game, and as I said, it's a fantastic experience to have played it. We only played it a handful of times because it's a bit of an effort to reset it, and we eventually moved it on because we just weren't playing it enough. And I know that there are little mini pack expansions. You can add things like in-laws and and other things to it. I don't see any coverage anymore, which is a real shame because they really tried something different with this game, and I think they succeeded. The experience itself when we played was a lot of fun. We really worked. We were just getting into a relationship ourselves. We're in a few months in, so to play this kind of like relationship simulator as two different versions of ourselves, as abstract as they were, was a lot of fun. We're both luckily people that like to do like D&D and stuff, so we just took our characters around with it. There was a lot of silly fun, but I don't think it's a game you would have in your collection and just like go back to and play like over and over again, because I just don't think that's how it works. But it's brilliant. It's beautiful. The production is absolutely amazing on it for the components. Yeah, definitely one. Definitely, if you get a chance, give it a try, but maybe not a keeper in the collection. And the final game today is Kahuna, published in 1998. This is an abstract strategy game where players are trying to place down bridges to control islands. It's a beautiful looking game, a very interesting theme for this kind of game. You just have this board of islands, and then you just have wooden pieces for your bridges and your control markers, and a deck of cards. The cards, each card has one of the islands marked on it, so when you play that card down, you then take one of your bridges and you link it to that island. If you have more than half of the routes off of an island under your control of bridges, you gain actual control of that island. It's very interesting because you play over 3 rounds. Round 1, the person who has the most islands scores 1 point. Round 2, 2 points. Round 3, they get the difference between the two players. So, you know, if I had 7 islands and you had 4, I would get 3 points from that. But what's quite clever about it is once you get going and you've got your bridges out there, they're not permanent. The other player can use cards, pairs of the same island, to remove your bridges, and this could in effect remove your control token, and that could remove more bridges. And there's this real on edge sort of background to the game as you're playing, that at any time something could go wrong and just knock all of your planning down. We played this a lot in the early days of our relationship. We played a game recently. We hadn't played for a few years. And it's still very crunchy, very thinky. Something I really like about it is that there's a hand limit. You only draw 1 card at the end of your turn, but on your turn you can play as many as you want, and it can get really stressful because you want to do a lot. You want to get loads of bridges down, but if you play all your cards and then you draw one up, you've got no choice on your next turns. And then you're only gonna you can pass and then draw another one, but you're slowly building your hand back up again. So sometimes you've just got to like play 1, maybe 2, and just hold off for now and see what happens to react to it. But yeah, just very simple game. Cards, wooden pieces, an island board, but very, very crunchy for what it is as a 2-player only game. It's a hidden gem, I think, and it's definitely one. Although we don't play that often, it's definitely one that will never leave my collection because there's something very interesting there. And there we go, another video done. It's been really interesting looking back at the games I was getting into in the early days of the pandemic. My first steps into solo gaming and all those 2-player only games. There are a lot more of those to come, I can tell you that now. The series is going to be full of them. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed my ramblings. If you'd like to leave a like or subscribe to the channel so you can keep up to date with the series as it keeps coming out. You can check out other content on the website, alwaysplayblue.com, where I do weekly reviews and a monthly blog. Or you can also pop over to Instagram. I'm at alwaysplayblue, and I just basically post all the pictures I take of all the games I play all the time. But yeah, again, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. I've worked out from doing this video that don't film a video for YouTube just after you've had a roast dinner. I need to go and lay down now. I'm about to enter a food coma. I'll see you on the other side. It was good though. It was really good.